Please note that the session has started and the recording has also commenced. We will be going through just one particular function of the NSDMS, but I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Good morning once more, colleagues, and welcome to the fourth installment of our SDF webinar series. And today we are going to be focusing on the CSV upload function, which is obviously available across certain forms and functions on the NSDMS. One of my colleagues will take you through those three forms and also take you through the process of how to complete it, upload it, and also resolve some of the challenges or issues that you might encounter. But also just to let you know that we are available through through MIS support, which is an email address that comes through straight to us for support issues, whether it doesn't have to just be CSV issues, it can be anything related to the NSDMS, from the ETQA portion to the mandatory grant, discretionary grant, learner queries, and the list goes on. I will also just have the email flighted just after my brief introduction. So today we'll be obviously going through just some 4 points. We are going to combine some items such as number 3 and number 4. This is obviously dependent on the time because we would obviously want to close at 10. So if we do have some time following the demonstration, we will open up the floor for some interactive questions. And obviously, some of your answers might not be resolved or responded to within the session, but we will endeavor to ensure that we do provide the feedback outside of the session, as we've done with some of our earlier sessions that we had. Just a quick reminder that we are having a series of webinars. The idea, of course, is to have these every Thursday, but we moved this one to Friday, as yesterday was the closing date for discretionary grants. So we were obviously prioritizing the support of ensuring that we assist our stakeholders in submitting their discretionary grants. And then we obviously could not have it the same day as, the deadline. So it's moved to today. The dates will obviously shift around, but we do obviously, one, publish the registration links on our website social pages. And we encourage people just to obviously keep an eye out there. And then for the already existing SDFs that are active on the NSDMS, whether it's for the purposes of discretionary grants or mandatory grants, we do obviously send out emails through the system. So just keep an eye out if you do want to participate in the sessions. Today, we are obviously going to be looking at the CSV upload function, particularly around the mandatory grant submission process, where one of my colleagues will just take you through those functions. And the prerequisites are pretty much straightforward or standard. You need to be registered as an SDF on the NSDMS. Your profile is also obviously active on the NSDMS. And of course, you've been linked to a levy-paying company. This is obviously strictly for mandatory grant purposes. In terms of, the CSV upload function, you've got the training committee documents or bank details documentation. This is just to ensure that your process of submitting mandatory grant goes through smoothly. You will need to obviously have these prerequisites. We did cover this process in the first webinar session that we had. It is up on our YouTube channel. If you do need the link, you can obviously just pop us a question in the Q&A section. The email address that I was referring to, I'll also just copy it and paste it in the Q&A section for you guys if you want to have additional support outside of this session, or there's a query that you want to follow up on. This is the email that we use. Now, a bit of house rules. We have disabled the chat feature on today's webinar, and for any questions or comments, there's a Q&A section which I'll just quickly flight just before moving and handing over to my colleague. We will use that Q&A section to obviously, one, interact during the session so that we allow the presenter to take us through the presentation up until they finish the presentation, where at the point, if time allows, we will then obviously take live questions where you raise your hand. You can even raise your hand when the session starts to ensure that you are first on the list. We'll take the questions and then we respond to the questions, and then we'll obviously disable your mic again just to ensure that we do give everyone a chance to ask a question at the end of the session if we do have some time. So if you do have a question or comment, please post it on the Q&A section. One of our administrators will respond to your question. And if they can't, we obviously allow you to ask the questions live, where I will be able to give some insights or clarity in some of the things that have been covered in today's session. And on that note, I just want to quickly show you the Q&A function. I see there's already some hands, but we'll take those later, as I said. So if you hover over your PC, there's a Q&A. And on the Q&A, you'll then be able to obviously post a chat where you can ask a question by simply saying start a discussion, and then you can post a question, and then one of our colleagues will attend to your question. I have also posted a link to the survey that you can obviously take after the session. This just gives us feedback in terms of what we did well, what we can improve on, and what are some of your suggestions for future workshops. On that note, please allow me, colleagues, to introduce my colleague, Lesego Magwana, who is an administrator within the MIS unit, who will be taking us through today's session. Thank you, and welcome, Lesego.
Thank you, Stan. Welcome, colleagues. Welcome, stakeholders. I'm going to be taking you through the CSV upload today. So the session is basically focused on the CSV uploads and bulk uploads. I'll be starting with the employee session, and then we're going to go to the ATR, and then as well as the WSPs. So please allow me to share my screen. There we go. Okay. So if you have a look at my screen, as I always say, here is the link for our production site. And this is the link that I'll be using for today's purpose. That's the testing site that we use. So for this purpose, I'm just going to show you the templates using the templates that are posted on a production. And I'm going to switch on from the production side to the UAT side to ensure that we are doing the uploads on the other side. So I'm going to be logging in on the production side. Once you are logged in on the production side, you have an option. If you look at your menu bar, there's an option that says templates. So basically, these are the templates that you need to be having prior, or these are the downloads that you need to ensure whenever you're doing your CSV uploads. Ensure that you have your, if you look at it, there's a policy there that tells you all the details that you need to know. The second tab, when you click on it, it's the FOO code, and there's a specialization codes for it. Let me open on this one, the 2024 one. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So there we go. Then you've got your employee CSV templates as well, including the user guide, as well as the CSV codes. So I've seen colleagues are having a battle or a challenge when they get to this area, because what they're expecting is that obviously when you click on, when you expand this row as an example, and when you click on the tab to check the templates, you're expecting the download to happen. But what you need to do is to ensure that you scroll down right at the bottom, and you will get your download file there. Then once you click on it, that's when now you'll get to see the downloaded file. We've got the employee CSV codes as well. When you click on it, you do have an option to click on the download tab. And when you click on the open file, That's when now you are able to populate. So for all the templates, ensure that you do have, you scroll down to get to the download icon, click on the download tab, and then it will open any file that you need to open and use for your CSV uploads. So for today's session, I'm going to be logging in with the same profile that we always use when we are doing webinars. So please allow me to log in. There we go. We've got a profile, MatMac profile. And as Stanley had already said, you need to be having an active company, and the company will then have to be linked to all the relevant information that is needed. So the first thing that we do, the CSV upload tab, you need to click on the company. When you click on the company, like you were doing when you were doing your SDF registrations, and you have the option to lock and unlock the file. So ensure that you open the padlock. When you click on it, this is one thing that when you are under company management, ensure that the tab is always populating and is active. It has pre-populated the information that you have captured. So the first CSV upload that you come across when you get to your company profile is at this tab where you get to your employees table. You do have an option that I took you through the last time when we were doing the company registration, where we were populating these two employees to say they are part of the company. But in this case, because basically today's session is focused on the CSV upload, then this is our focus for today. When you click the plus icon, and you can see there's a plus sign that says select the file that you want to upload for these entities, the employees. So you cannot, whenever you doing your CSV uploads, ensure that you have downloaded the templates. And once you have downloaded the templates, it makes it easier. For an example, this is now how the templates will then look like. This is how the templates will look like for the employee one. Just hang on. I will want to show you. There we go. Okay, so these are the codes that are part of the CSV that you need to ensure that when you're using the names for the CETA Medentary grant, when you get to that column, these are the codes that you need to ensure that you are forever using those codes. And that's the import codes that we're using. So ensure that when you have the templates, you've got option to open. Yeah. So when you look at it, you can see that ensure that this is the right syntax. Ensure that this is the right format and the syntax that you must always, and that forever that you are following the correct syntax, because colleagues, we've got issues that you might download the incorrect CSV templates, or maybe you corrupt it or you edit it and update and do some amendments. Then when you get to the upload portion, it will then obviously give you an issues. So what I'm going to do for the purpose, I'm going to start with the CSV uploads that is having the issues, and then we're going to work on that one, ensure that the issues are resolved. First thing first that you're going to do, you upload the CSV. This is the one that is having the issues that I've got. Then we're going to work on the issues. So if you look at it, the first thing that it says here is complaining about the number, because, and I've mentioned this and emphasized it on our previous session. So what it does, your CSV upload, it checks the number of employees from the company, from this page, from the company information page. So you must always forever ensure that you have the relevant number. So in this case, I'm going to be saying I had 2, and on my CSV, I've got 4 employees. So I'm going to update it to make it a 6. And once it's a 6, click again, go back to my CSV upload. This is what we're doing, -1 to show how are we then going to correct it. So this is the negative CSV uploads. Is still complaining about the number. So what you can do, let's get here to our employees, initial employees that we're having. Ensure that let's just remove these ones. So you have the options to say, if you're not sure of the number that you had initially, as an example, ensure that you remove the tabs you have. You do have an option to remove them one by one, or you can just remove the entire. So whenever you get to this option, ensure that you have nothing so that you can do your calculations right. You have the option to delete all the employees that were entered initially, and you can then proceed. I'm going to select this one. That's a negative thing that you must always ensure in terms of the number. So this is also where now it's gonna, okay. So let's update this one, because on the CSV we have 4. And on the company information, we have 6. So I'm gonna make it a 4. And this is our negative test, and then you submit it. So once this is done, go to your employee tabs. Ensure that you have the relevant one with the right numbers. It's still complaining about the number. And I have to open my CSV. So let's see how many do I have here. Yeah. Okay. So it means let me just do this. Remove what I'm having there, because it seems I've messed up the numbers. I just want to ensure that we have the relevant one. So let's now upload the one from the test side. Download the correct one with the correct template, the correct templates that we need to use. So go to your templates or links, and you click on the employee CSV templates. Cool. Go. There we go. So when you look at it here, it gives you all the options to say this is your municipality, that's your ID, that's the gender. So this is the relevant in all the records, all the columns that are now included on your CSV uploads. You've got these columns one by one. The first column is this one for your municipality, which comes with the relevant codes. The second one is your passport, your passport ID type, and these are the codes for the gender, the codes for the equity. You've got your codes for disabilities, the codes for the FOO and employment, and so on. So that's the right one that then opens. Okay. So I'm gonna use one of my archives, because I want information that is not correct for this one. Okay, still on the templates. Sorry about that, colleagues. It locked me out, hit the wrong button. Okay, there we go. So what I'm saying is that let's go to get the old information so that we can get the one with errors and upload the one that is not correct. For example, these ones. There we go. So this is the one that I know it won't be correct because obviously it includes the old information. Going back to our user, the usual profile. There we go. Company management. Pen on the company. It populates the records. Click on the employees and click on the CSV uploads. Select the file to upload. So we just uploaded one file now with the incorrect data that I'm going to correct. Okay. So what are we saying? Are we saying, okay, there we go. So we're saying we've got 4 records here. Then let's see how many number of the employee records do we have? So we do have 4 under here as well. Okay, there we go. Please, CSV. Is greater than the total number of company employees. Okay, so basically what it says is that what I have there, the number of employees there, it's greater than the numbers. So I'm updating to be a 5 and CSV upload. How many records are we having here? Let's do this. It's 4. So I was populating the incorrect one. It's 4 records, it's not 5. There we go. Okay. So the reason why I stayed on this page is just to ensure that you get the point in terms of how important the number in the organization company information is, because it runs that check. So there's no way that you can proceed if you don't get the numbers right. Ensure that the number of employees is always matching the number that is sitting on the other side. Okay, so I had mixed up my files when I was doing my test, but I think it's good for these people so that it stresses out the importance with that regard. So when you look at it, if you click here on this record, the first record for sale, it says that the FO code is required. So it's basically very straightforward. So what then you need to do is click on this update button. When you click on the update button, and when you get to here, then you've got an option to select the relevant FO code because what it says it's invalid, but when you look at it, there was no record. So you update the FO codes, click on the submit button, and then what it does, it then takes the first tray that has just been corrected. And when you click under the tab up there that says employees and scroll a bit down, that's where now you get to see the relevant information that just went through. Okay, so the second records, when you click on it, it says FO code is also invalid. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm going to fix all the FO code, the information that is not correct and ensure that we are taking in the records. We are fixing the information there. For this one, when you click on it, let's see, FO codes is also invalid. So let's get here and correct the FO codes. Let's use this one. When you submit, then click on the upload button. Okay, it took the entry. It took Peter, but now we are okay. So it still says the FO code is invalid. So when you click on the update button, and when you look at the FO code, it could be that the FO code that you selected is not correct because it's still not taking it in. You need to ensure from the codes that I had opened initially, you do have the relevant information. So when you scroll up for the updated record that we just fixed, you scroll down, then you get to see the information, the correct information. Once it takes it in, you will see there's no errors on the expand row. You are able to expand and review the information. If you are not happy with any of the record, you still have an opportunity to click on the delete button or continue with fixing all the other information or records that you're having. So let's update for all these 4 records. And all of them, when you check it, it has to do with the FO codes. So you need to ensure that you have the relevant information to get in as well for Tanya. And let's do this. Okay. What is it? Okay, for this one now is complaining about the ID. So let's go and so what it does, it becomes very specific to the error that you're having. So it points out the specific issue, where the specific issue is. So with the previous 2 records, the issue was on the FO codes, but when you look at this one, it states here, when you click on the red alert, it says click here to view error. When you click on it, it states invalid RSA ID number. So you have the option to update and go fix the ID number. So it means now the ID number populated here is not correct. So I'm just going to put the correct one and make sure that it's fixed. So I'm submitting the ID number. Then it says updated successfully, meaning that the update has been done. For you to review, click on employees. When you scroll down, you have the guy Tanya here with the relevant information. When you are happy, fix all the other records. So basically, when you get to the CSV, this one is also complaining about the RSA ID. So when you get to this point, ensure that you have all the information populated correctly on your spreadsheet, because if there's an issue, then it can be very tricky and very challenging, because the system runs the validation to ensure that all the information is correct. So I just updated the last ID record, hit on the submit button. There you go. So to ensure that all the records from your CSV has been uploaded, you can only check under your employees tab. When you click on the icon, all the records should be there and they shouldn't be showing any flags, any red alerts to say there are issues, to show that all the entries are correct and you are good to go. So the similar way that you have dealt with your employees record is the same way that you then now have to deal with your ATR. Where do we get our ATR? CSV upload. You go your under grant application. It's basically for MGs. And when you click on the view edit grant, you've got your ATR report here. So when you look at this page, you won't be able to get any CSV option. You only have the option to download, but the upload CSV is not there, because what you are saying is that you haven't trained any guys. So you have to ensure that you have completed these questions, the ATR report questions. So when you click on that you have trained automatically, then that's when now your upload CSV option becomes active. And similar way to say, have you deviated from the WSP or not? So you need to have information, but the one that populates and ensure that you have your CSV upload is that have you completed a training in the previous years. So you have your option for to upload your ATR. Then you click on the upload. It says that it does tell you that you do have an option to upload in batches of 20,000 only, meaning that the maximum tray that the system takes is up to 20,000 entries on your CSV, meaning that that's the maximum that you can have on one spreadsheet, meaning that, but then it does allow you to take it in a bulk, meaning you can have your first entry of 20,000 and have another entry of 20,000, and which will then become batches. You split them into being the batches. So I'm gonna get here to my ATR folders, and this is now if they my ATR template for 2025. So if you look at it, this is the entries for ATR. So it all went through because the spreadsheet that I've put, I had ensured that we have relevant information. But let me go to the ATR templates, download it, and show you this site that what is expected when you get to your ATR. So when you are talking about your ATR and WSP templates, this is basically how it looks like. I had showed it earlier, but let's close this. This one as well. Okay. Then download this one. Okay. So when you look at your ATR templates, this is basically how your ATR template will then look like. It's got the ID type where you have to specify either you're using your RSA ID or your passport. And the second tab is the same as that one. So you've got your male and your female, and you've got your equity codes, different equity code. If you're black, you can't type this one, but you need to put the code that specify the entries that you are putting. If you have any disabilities, these are the code that you need to put. You've got unspecific code for disabled, but that are not specified. You've got this one for South Africa. These are the codes, all the countries of nationality. Just ensure that you have the relevant code as well then. This option to say employment code. So it can be a contract, permanent, formerly you were employed, but you have resigned. So, and so on and so on. You've got your employment code, you've got your FO code, and your specialization. So the codes is the one that I had open. I will open them as well. Again, because the FO and the specialization code are sitting in a different templates, but you need to have then your ATR employment status to say, is the training still in progress? Have you completed the training? So if you have completed, then you need to ensure that you have a 2 as your code that you have to put there. Get into your funding code. Are you SETA mandatory grant that the learner that is linked to, or is the learner linked to now to the SETA funded, the SETA discretionary? If it's for DG funding, then you need to have to specify it. using the code. You have the intervention types, which I know most people will then struggle to say, but ensure that when you get to your intervention type, you have these codes. You have the codes that goes along, the codes that matches the description of the intervention that you want to put. But how we've done it is that when you type using the description, and the system can also populate it, but for CSV, you just need to ensure that you have the correct information there to say if it's employed skills, bursaries, and here's the code that then you populate on there. If it's ABET, ensure that you have the relevant code. If the learner is now linked to new partially bursary for that are unemployed, then the code should then be 53. So these are very crucial information that you ensure that when you have your ATR, you follow the similar syntax. So same thing with your intervention type is the same criteria for your qualification code, as well as the skill sets and the skills programs. You need to ensure that if you have the relevant skills program that is linked to that specific learner who's doing training or who trained in the previous years that they were doing this specific intervention or the skills program, whatever the case may be. So those is the very essential, very critical and very important information that you need to ensure that you have. And this is another way to say, okay, maybe you've put the record, it took it in, but you're not happy or you have done a mistake. You have an option to click here and update. If the FO code that you selected is not correct, the system does give you an option to update the entries, a single entry, and click on the submit. If you look at it, it was a missing for FO code, and now it has been updated. You have another option to say, no, I'm not happy with the full record. Here's my delete icon to say, let me delete one item from my ATR reports. And once the item is gone, you do have an option to ensure that you populate that information here. Maybe just correcting that one single record, you do have an option to put it manually or delete the entire CSV entries. Are you sure you want to, before you delete the entire CSV, the system will ask you, are you sure you want to now delete the entire CSV entry that you have entered? You do have the option to say yes and delete all. Click on yes, then it goes. All the CSV entries has been gone. They are no longer here. And if there's information here, you have an option to clear that one record if you're not happy with it. So basically the same way that you are uploading your ATR is the similar way that you can upload, that you have to upload your WSP as well. So they basically following the very similar syntax in terms of the CSV upload. So I'm just going to upload it, and our program, I believe it was short and simple. So here select, I'm just going to select for my WSP now. So for WSP, go to my downloads, check for my WSP folder. And here are my WSP entries that are correct. Yeah. So I know people are going to be asking a lot of questions in terms of when you're uploading like the 20,000 entries, the system does go this slow and it won't show a pop-up, but for you, because most of the time you'll find someone saying, but I've stayed on the system and it has been processing for the past 5 to 10 minutes. So how we do it is that when you are at this point and the system is doing like this, you just click on your back arrow. So you click on the back tab and go back to the page, and then you will find that it had actually uploaded. So that's the trick that we're using. That's the trick that we're using for the entries. So when you get to your WSP, when you look at it, here's the entries that you have just uploaded. And I think for today, we have covered the uploads. And thank you so much, Stan, for your time. Thank you, colleagues. That's it from me. Thanks.
All right, not a problem. Yeah, thank you so much, Lesego, for obviously taking us through the process of covering the company details information, where there's also a CSV upload function available. And of course, I'm addressing some of the known issues or items that might come up on that specific page. And also for taking us through the ATR, some of the challenges, and also, ways around working through the upload process. And of course, how we can then obviously end up fixing the issues that might arise from the uploads on the system themselves. But also highlighting that in case there's a few records, SDFs do have the option to actually capture the information on the system itself without making use of the CSV upload template. I think the CSV upload template primarily is for, those heavy or large numbers in terms of records where one might not have the time to capture the records one by one. But in a case where you prefer to capture on the system, that option is also available. And I've also just pasted in the Q&A the email address where should you have any issues outside of what we have covered today, you can just quickly pop us an email, and one of our administrators or the coordinators available will respond to your queries. We've got 16 minutes for some open questions and answers. I'm just going to quickly look at the raised hands, and just to allow people time to also ask their question, I'm going to unmute your mic. You ask your question, we will mute it back again, and a response will be provided, just so that everyone does get a chance, seeing that we've only got 16 minutes left. Just to repeat, I will unmute your mic, I will call out your name, you ask your question, then we respond to your question, and then we move on to the next person in the queue. All right. Our first question comes from Bushe Koli N. Mogotlane. I'm going to unmute your mic, and then you can come through. You're just going to have to unmute on your side as well, but you can come through, Bushe.
How are you, sir?
I'm all right on yourself.
Yes, I don't have a question. Last year I was trying to do the registration and the SDF registration, and I had problems with the passwords, and I was trying to get through to Mesita. I couldn't get through. The email I wasn't getting a response. I tried to contact. There was no response, but now when you started the presentation, I saw your email for support. I got that. Do you have a contact number as well where we can call when we're having problems?
Unfortunately, we don't have a contact number for the MIS support team, but we do have the call center one.
Yes, the call center one.
Okay, I'll just give me a moment. We'll provide it in the chats. Can one of the colleagues just pop the call center number in the chats to assist Bushe?
Okay.
Thanks, Bushe. We are then going to Shannon Ndimande. You can come through.
Good morning. So my question is regarding the specialization code. I think a couple of years back, I think it was the 2019 version, we had an option of, let's say, if it was a finance person, say finance manager, then you would have specialization. So it'll say the 2019 followed by the 6-digit code, then dash it'll say 1. Now it doesn't do that anymore. You just have the normal unit groups that we need, the normal occupations that we need to use. So I just want to find out, has that been fixed, or do we still need to use just the occupations, not the specialization?
Thanks for that question, Shannon. What had happened with the move from 2019 to 2021, there were some specializations or even all 4 codes that were either merged or removed completely when the new versions came through. So we can share the 2021 version with you just to see the differences between what had a specialization before. And I can give you an example. In the past, we have seen, especially on the ETDP side, where they had, specializations for grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up until matric. And when the 2021 version came, they only had elementary school, intermediary, high school. So those were the specializations, just to obviously kind of consolidate those specializations. So in the instance where there is no specialization, I would advise that you do select the OFO code group, and that will obviously ensure that the person that you're reporting to is correctly classified. But we will share the OFO code version just to see if there is a specialization that has replaced the previously available one as well. We are allowing, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Asia Raoult. Asia Raoult, you can unmute yourself and then ask your question. Thank you. Oh, okay. I think Asia dropped their hand. Asia? Okay, we'll come back to you. And then we've got a Krista Sharp. You can unmute your mic and then come through before we toggle back to Asia.
Good morning. I would like to find out if where can we get hold of the recording of this webinar, and then also the previous ones in this series.
Okay, what we can do is that they are on our Mercita YouTube page. If one of the colleagues can just paste the link to our YouTube page where we upload the webinar recordings there. And this one will most probably be available by next week, Tuesday or Monday, as it has to be obviously trimmed just to ensure that the audio and the video is good quality. And then once uploaded, you can pop in on the said YouTube page, or if you can't find it, just pop us an email on the MI support. We'll gladly provide the link for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to give Asia one last chance before we move on to the next question. Asia Raoult. Okay, we are moving along. We've got a question from, Nogulunga Ndlovu. Nogulunga Ndlovu, you can unmute and ask your question.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for this intervention. I just want to find out, how can we ensure the accurate capture of data in the CSV file? Like, will we be required to convert data into text formats in the CSV file that you will be downloading in order to match the version of data as the CSV file is downloaded? The reason I ask, my question stems from, I've observed that when data is transferred to the NSDMS using the CSV file, certain ID numbers are occasionally replaced with zeros. So, and also at times, in some instances, where there'll be like the NSDMS will fail to retrieve the dates correctly. So, what are the specific formats requirements that are necessary for the CSV file before we upload it on the NSDMS? Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Noblunga. I think when it comes to the ID numbers, it can be quite tricky in terms of, our fellow youths born in 2000. As you know, the numbers, it cuts the first two numbers and then it starts with the months and the dates. I think what we can do, Noblunga, is just to obviously assist you on a case-by-case basis, where if you pop us an email, we will look at the data that you have and then assist just to get you to be able to upload. But for your ID numbers, the text format for ID numbers will work. And then, of course, for dates, it's the date format. Now, we will confirm when we engage just to say, you know what, the reason why your dates are not working, it might be incorrectly formatted as not, it's not month, day, year. It might be day, month, year, because of when you download it, it then takes the format of your laptop settings, if I may call it that. So if you allow us maybe just to engage further, and this is also open for other colleagues that might have the same issue, let's just engage further so that we ensure that we don't give a generic response, but we assist you based on the type of data that you have. We are moving along. I would like to call to the floor Claudette Matthews.
Yes, well done. Thank you for pronouncing that correctly. Just a very, very blunt question, and I'm sorry for asking it and I'm wasting people's time, but I need to know, what is the time period for reporting for WSP ATR? If you can just give me the exact dates, I just want to write them down again.
Okay, our time periods, the window opens the 1st of February and it closes on the 30th of April.
Not necessarily the windows, the reporting period.
Oh, sorry, it's 1st March 2023 up until 31 March 2024. So it's a financial year.
2024.
So for,
that's for
your ATR, and then your WSP is, of course, from the 1st of April planning forward.
1st of April 2024.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, I did write that down. I just wanted to confirm, and I'm sorry if it was a blunt question. Thank you.
Not a problem. You're welcome, Claudette. Okay. We are moving to Nkosi Nukubonga Shabalala. Let me just. Nkosi Nukubonga Shabalala, you can come through.
Good morning, everybody. I have a question. It's not really a question. I don't know how you can help me because I've sent my queries to MIS support, and with no luck, I've said with my CLO, Namhla, and Mr. Simon Mbele, and nothing has happened. I'm struggling to do the upload since last year. So what happens is, like, I will do the upload, right, and then I'll get a few error messages here and there, but the update button doesn't work. So that means I have to delete and upload it again. When I do that, then that means it's the whole information is lost. Then there's no data at all. So it keeps happening every now and then, and it's not because I'm using the wrong template, because I've done this with Namhla, with Simon, with Dimpo, like, and now we're gonna submit the new grant, the monetary grant, and then yet I'm still sitting with this problem from last year. So how can you assist me? And please don't give me the MIS support email, because I've done that and then there was no response.
Okay, I was going to actually direct you to the MIS support, and the only reason for that is that what we have done is we as the MIS, maybe let me separate this. The MIS support was historically manned and managed by our call center colleagues. Now, through various engagements, we saw that there's a gap that needed to be filled in. And by that gap being filled in is, of course, having some of the technical guys who are here in this session as well to have access to the mailbox so that we can intercept some of the issues without them going through the call center to CLO to MIS internally. So what we did, we cut out those two processes. Hence, I'm saying that if you do send it now, and ever since we started this webinar series, we have been advocating for queries to be sent there, because what we did, we've added our technical resources on that mailbox as well. So that ensures that you will have a response. Some of the colleagues that have joined in the previous webinars or the sessions can attest that they have found response much more quicker. We have improved, and this is because we have added more resources from the technical side as well. So if you do forward that query, to that mailbox, it will get responded to. So hence, I encourage you just to forward that, and we will assist. Okay, we are going. Oh, there's no surname here, but it's Vilma. If you can unmute, and I'm also just cognizant of the time. We've got 3 minutes left, colleagues. Vilma, you can come through.
Thank you. Just a question. Every year we use the OFO codes as listed on the Masito website. We download it and that's what we use. But when we upload using the CSV, most of the OFO codes are indicated as being incorrect. And then we've got to physically sit and update 250 employees manually. Now, we only have 250. What about companies with thousands of employees? It's impossible to do that. And I've been reporting on this problem for the last 4 years. Has that been addressed now? Then if it doesn't work, there's no use in using the CSV files in any case, and you can just start straight from the beginning and do everything manually.
Yes.
That's the one question. And the second question, you indicated that there's a Q&A tab where you published information. Where do we find that on the screen? Because I can't access the Q&A button, so I don't see it anywhere on the screen.
It should be next to your chat feature on Teams that you joined on. And we have received some questions from colleagues like Joe Antonio, Richie Taylor, Santi Grunling. So it is there. Maybe it's not visible on your side, but it's active.
Yeah, it's not visible on my side. I only have the show conversation one, which we cannot use, but I don't see any Q&A tab on my list.
Okay, but if you do have any other queries, Vilma, the MIS support email is there. Maybe just to respond to your first question in terms of the OFO code. Yes, the OFO code alignment in terms of what's on the CSV and what's on the system is now obviously being corrected. I think what you might find as the first question that was asked about, the specializations, there might be changes in specializations from the previous OFO code versions that were advertised and also made available. So we can have a couple of discrepancies, but we are here to assist in case that you do encounter any technical problems where you need some clarification. We're going to have to take one last question. It is 10 o'clock, colleagues. So to close the show, we've got Ketani Msane.
Just wanted to ask, on the advice, am I still able to edit my company information if the advised due date has passed through the outstanding, I think it's outstanding tasks, because I'm having issues with that.
Can you just please repeat that?
Under dashboard, you
Yes.
get the outstanding tasks. Am I still able to edit my company information if the advised due date has passed? Because I'm having issues with that.
So you've got
Yes,
detail that. Oh yeah, come through, Lisa.
Okay, thank you, Stan. Yes, so the system does and will allow you, even after submission, to update the number of employees on the company tab, company information tab. Thank you.
If I'm having issues with that and it's not allowing me, can I use, you'll refer me to the email, the support email?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes,
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, colleagues.
Thanks, Stan.
Just before we close, we've got our manager for grants, Christine, who just wants to make a correction in terms of the WSP and ATR dates. I'm just gonna unmute her. I think just give me 2. Hi, colleagues. We can't seem to get a hold of Christine. But in terms of the correction that was to be made, it's just to confirm that a WSP work skills plan is for the period 1 April 2024 to March 2025. And then an ATR is the annual training plan from 1 January to 31 December 2023. Okay. All right, I think with that being said, we can then safely close the session. Colleagues, thank you so much for availing yourselves, and have a lovely day further, and a blessed weekend. You can come through, Christine.
Then I see everyone is already leaving the meeting. All right, we'll talk afterwards.